Hello. Welcome to Almost 80. I'm Bennye, your host. Now that you have rung the bell, come on in, have a seat, and make yourself at home. Hello.
Hello, Ma.
Are you there?
I'm here. How about you?
I'm here. Yeah. And
Glad to be in the number.
glad to be in the number. Now I'm 81.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You look fantastic.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
I feel pretty good.
You feel pretty good?
I do.
I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. So, what are we talking about today?
Today, we're going to talk about the history of Bethlehem School, some of that. We're going to do a little bit of that.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk about what happened after 1964 when the schools integrated. And even
The
though
Civil Rights Act.
the Civil Rights Act,
Mm-hmm.
even though I had finished a year or two ahead before,
Mm-hmm.
my siblings and everybody else in the town had to go through this. And after talking to some of them, I have some information that I want to include in this podcast, just so that it will be out there
Yeah. On record.
on record. Yeah.
Some of the stories and experiences that our
Uh-huh.
people have had.
Right.
Okay. Well, tell us about the Bethlehem School.
Okay. Well, what I have come to understand is that there was something called the Rosenwald Project. There was a guy by the name of Julius Rosenwald who was, I guess, the founder and owner of Sears Roebuck and Company
Okay.
in America. And Booker T. Washington collaborated with him to build schools for Black students throughout the South.
Hmm.
And this was from 1917 to 1932 that they
Okay.
built these schools. And I think they built about 5,000 schools in the
Interesting.
South.
This is something I never learned. Did you
Yeah.
ever learn this?
I had never learned this before.
Yeah, I never heard this. Okay.
And the Bethlehem School was one of the schools. Yeah.
Your school
My
was one of
school
the Rosenwald schools.
was around the Rosenwald School.
Wow.
Yes. And what happened was they collaborated with the communities because our community played a part in it. They had to give up some of their land. They
Mm-hmm.
gave up some of their resources, some of their money to help as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Julius Rosenwald and whatever funds that he was bringing to it helped to bring it to fruition.
Okay. That's
Build
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing history. So you benefited from having this structure of schools that was honestly a private partnership, right?
Right.
There's a lot of discussion about what role the government should play in some of the things that we think people should have access to, like healthcare and education. And look at the Rosenwald Project, which was done by private initiative, right?
Right. Right.
And that's kind of fascinating to me because I don't tend to think that private industry always has this kind of heart. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Absolutely.
So it's usually something else that's driving profit usually.
Yeah.
And this had no profit in it for him, I would think. So that's pretty amazing.
And they feel that it's somebody else's responsibility, not
Yeah.
theirs, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whose responsibility is it?
Whose
I
is
think
it?
that's
Mhm.
fascinating. All right, so you learned that tidbit about the history of your school. Tell me about the impact. You mentioned at the beginning that there was an impact in your neighborhood and your environment, your town, from the Civil Rights Act, and kind of tell me more about what you mean by that.
Well, when this law was passed, I think it upset everybody. It upset Black folks, it upset white folks
Tell
because
tell me more. Let's stop right there. Tell me more
okay.
about why you think it upset Black folks.
Well, for one thing, we had our own communities. We were set in our own communities. We were accustomed to having our own teachers, having our own facilities, and our own pieces of land or whatever that we moved freely in,
Yeah.
rather than being having to go and mingle with the white folks. Okay, and they had their own, and they didn't want us there. And I think neither group wanted either one. They wanted that kind of mingling. Okay.
That's very interesting because, when you read in textbooks, that I'll just say like Martin Luther King fought for, the equal rights. And, this is why, people protested and marched so that Black folks could have the same rights as everybody else in this country. Do you think that, if you think back to your childhood and early adulthood, you say that folks didn't always feel good about this law, right? That
Right,
white folks and Black folks equally did not
right.
weren't excited. And what do you think the reason Black folks may not have celebrated, other than the fact that maybe they didn't want to integrate? Why do you think they didn't want to integrate?
Well, Black folk were always mistreated by white folks, number 1, okay?
Mm,
They always, terrorized Black folk and made you afraid to your own shadow almost, that you would be killed, you would be hanged, you would be, mistreated in some cruel way.
yeah,
And I think that, Martin Luther King, I think the way he saw it was that the only way we could have equal schools or equal opportunities was that we could do it together.
yeah.
And there might have been another way. All we needed was opportunity. We need equal opportunity. We didn't need to be in each other's spaces all the time, I'm thinking. That's sort of what I'm thinking.
So this isn't the first time that you've said this to me, that you felt integration was not always great for Black students.
Right.
Um, and I can hear why, but the listeners are not going to understand, I think, for the most part, what you mean by this. So why don't we talk about some of the reasons you said, that what were some of the possible good things, like on the face of it, that could come about, like maybe exposure to things like different classes or curricula. What were some of the things that could have benefited Black folks that they didn't have access to before?
Well, the curriculum at the white school was a little more robust than
Mm,
the curriculum at the black school. We didn't have access to upper maths classes and science classes like chemistry and trigonometry and classes like that, or
calculus, any of
calculus,
those. Mhm.
yeah, or apprenticeships or things like that. So in order to get that, we were exposed to that. So that I would say was a plus.
That was a plus. Or maybe there was a promise of a plus.
A promise of a plus, and on
Yeah,
paper, it looked good.
it looks good. Yeah,
Yes,
it
yes,
looks good.
yes. But in reality, we know that curriculum, learning is more than curriculum,
Yes,
okay?
much more. Mhm.
It takes more than just having a book in front of you. Teachers play such a big part in
Right.
one's, learning, you know?
So, I don't mean to change the subject, but I kinda wanna
Go ahead.
delve into something, and that is, if we talk about on the face of it, there was a lot of promise. In hindsight, in speaking with your younger siblings and maybe other people who grew up that were younger than you, who were the first wave of Black students to enter. So let's be clear about this. When integration happened, white students didn't go to Black schools.
Mhm,
Black students all went to white schools.
mhm, mhm,
And the integration wasn't true integration. It was just bringing Black students into white spaces.
mhm.
And how did that feel? How did that lived experience go for the students that you know, right? This is not necessarily reflective of everyone's experience. I'm sure it's diverse.
Yeah.
But how was it for your siblings?
Well, for my siblings, I was able to speak to Merle and Alvin, who did a podcast with us before.
Yes, he did.
And I talked with my baby sister, Gail, as well. And I also talked to a cousin of mine, Jerry, and I talked to one of the teachers that was involved in
Okay.
integration. And one of the things that Alvin said was that the whole thing was very strange. They had to go into the same classrooms and into the same spaces.
Hmm.
But there, he didn't remember any major incidents like fight. They didn't fight
Yeah.
or anything
No
like that.
fighting. Yep.
And
Yep.
his take was that both groups were afraid of each other.
Hmm.
So, and even Merle said that the white kids, she would just catch them just looking at them, like
Hmm.
they couldn't figure out maybe what
Like,
who
yeah,
they were, why they were there, or
just
what.
foreign.
So foreign, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they just would look at them. And, she was talking about her experience as a student. She was saying that she's very smart,
Very smart.
very smart. She
Mhm.
said you could not get an A under most of the teachers, okay, and the way she put
Hmm.
it, she said you couldn't beat the man and his pencil, you know?
Yeah. And it's funny, I grew up hearing that phrase from dad and from you sometimes.
Uh-huh.
And that phrase would be, "You can't beat the man in his pen,"
And his
you
pen.
know?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and the idea of that for people listening is that when you don't have control over the written word, the
Right,
final
right,
written word,
right.
then you're left to however it's written.
Uh,
Whether you've done well or you've not done well, or if you owe money at a corner store, right?
right, right.
People will write, if they're in power, they can write whatever they'd like to write.
Whatever they like, and
Yep.
tell you it's one thing when you know
And
it's
exactly, when
somebody
you
else.
know it might be something different.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
So she was saying, so your younger sister, Merle, was saying that she really couldn't get A's.
Uh-huh.
And was that different for her? Has she gotten A's up until that point?
Yes. She had gotten mostly A's in school. Uh-huh.
Yeah, she's super smart. So that doesn't
And she
surprise
also
me.
talked about they wouldn't even if you raised your hand, like if a question was asked and you raised your hand, they wouldn't call upon black students to answer for the most part. You know,
Mm,
I guess they didn't wanna know if you knew the answer
mhm.
or maybe they figured you didn't know the answer. I don't know what the reason was, but they wouldn't call upon you. So then
Yeah.
you were rendered invisible.
Yeah, invisible, silent, not present.
Yes, yes,
Yep,
yeah.
there but not engaged, there but not a
Right,
part of the process. So
right.
this brings back to what you were saying, that education is more than a curriculum, right? Because
Mhm.
now they had books, they
Yeah,
had the classes, right?
uh-huh,
So they could technically enroll in whatever, I'm assuming. They could take different types of classes. And there you have it. That's not all that it takes, right? So her
right.
lived experience was that she did not feel included in the learning process. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Aunt Gail's experience. We're trying to get everybody's because they were at different years in their schooling. So
Mhm.
what was it like for her?
Well, she told me that, like, in the 3rd grade, she was with Mrs. Rutherford, right? Mrs. Rutherford was the wife of our principal, who had been principal the whole time, Mr. Rutherford, right?
Okay.
And, this woman, his wife, Mrs. Rutherford, she really was a mean teacher because I had her in 6th grade,
Oh,
and
you remember her?
I remember her, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she was very mean, so Gail said she was still mean when she came through, and Gail
Hmm.
is 13 years younger than I am, right?
Right, right, right.
So, what they did was they switched her class, I guess, I don't maybe she asked to be switched to, Mrs. Hamilton's room, who was a white teacher, and she said Mrs. Hamilton was very nice to her.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so I thought and as I told you, and, we've had many conversations, that I know a lot of white teachers who really were
Mhm.
genuine
Fantastic.
and nice
Mhm.
to their kids, yeah.
Mm.
And, she also told me when she got to the 8th grade, and this is what she said, "The shit hit the fan."
Oh,
I
boy.
said I said, "What?"
That is Anguilla for sure.
That's her, yeah. She said that, she was about to be put in a slow class
Mm.
because, she talked a lot and, she was
Mhm.
very smart. All of mama's kids were smart,
Mhm.
and if you're not engaging them and, helping them go along, then they'll start talking, and
And you know that now because you are an experienced educator, and you know that when children are being distracted, something's not being done appropriately for them. Either
absolutely,
they're not being engaged or challenged, or maybe they have like a learning difference that needs to be met. Like there's something that's not being met for that child. But most
absolutely.
often it's that they're bored.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so when when they were trying to put her in this class, she said that she cried. She went home and she just cried and she told mom and daddy what they were trying to do. And daddy decided that good as he felt, he went
Mhm.
up to the school. And that almost wasn't heard of. To have
Okay.
one of our parents go to the school to,
Hmm.
discuss what was going on and to try to straighten things out. So when he
Right.
came up, he was able to straighten things out and she was able to stay in the regular
A
class.
regular class. So they kinda had a special ed class that they were trying to put her in.
Absolutely.
Mm,
Yes.
mm.
And, she also she told the counselor at one point, I think this might have been in high school, that, she wanted to be a nurse. And the
Mhm.
nurse told her, "I don't think you can be a nurse. Maybe you wanna go to business school or go
Mhm.
do a business or something like that."
Mhm.
And she
Hmm.
said she didn't know about doing any business,
Right.
so she did pursue nursing and
She
became a
did.
nurse.
She
Yeah,
became a nurse. Yes, she
became a
did.
nurse. And she said that she saw this lady years later, and she had the funniest look on her face because she went
Ah,
to her and told her, "I'm a nurse."
I'm a nurse.
Uh-huh.
She was able to vindicate herself,
Right.
which
And
is
then the
terrible,
right, isn't it?
isn't
And
it?
then, there was another girl in her there was a white girl in her class who
Mhm.
had, I think like reddish looking hair, and it was curly.
Yeah.
She
So
was
she
a
was
white girl.
different. She was
She was
different.
different, she was
Uh-huh.
different.
Yeah.
And, she said the, white kids did not accept her
Because of how she looked.
because of how she looked. So she
Oh.
became friends with the black girls.
Oh.
And, Gail said even, as adults, I mean, when they would bump into each other, they were still, like, friendly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, there's so much work we need to do for children to accept each other, you know?
Right, right.
They need modeling from adults, for one thing. They need to know that everything's not the same. People are different. They look different. They speak differently.
Mhm.
So much is different about us, yet we all share humanity. And gosh, I really wish that kids didn't have that kind of experience, you know? And everybody's capable of doing this. Like, all groups are capable of ostracizing, of making fun of. Like, no one's immune from that, but we have to do better.
I know, and with the advent of, what is it where you get your blood tested? Ancestry,
DNA, DNA.
DNA and
Uh-huh.
ancestry, it's amazing how we're all so mixed up, you know what I mean? So
Well, not only
it's
that, humans are about 99%, maybe more, 99.9% the same.
the same.
And we actually have a higher chance of having genetic similarity to someone who's not in our group than someone in our group.
Wow.
You're more likely to have diversity within a group than without. So I may have more genetically in common with someone from Peru or from,
Uh-huh.
Uzbekistan than another Black person down the street, which is
Right.
totally not how we're taught. We're taught to believe our lying eyes that, people are, quote, homogenous. You've heard that. Oh,
Uh,
this country's so homogenous. They're actually not homogenous, but we're believing what our eyes are telling us. And it's a
right.
lie.
I
Okay,
know.
that's a podcast for a different day, too.
I know, I know. And she kept, reiterating the fact that the black kids did not want to go to school with the white kids, just like the white kids didn't want to go to school with the black kids,
It was a mutual feeling.
the mutual f
Yeah.
yeah.
The culture set the kids up, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And then we went on with our conversation, and she was telling me that in the 12th grade, Superintendent Pinkham taught a civics class, right?
Yeah.
All of the apparently, everybody had to go through him, apparently.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah,
He's a gatekeeper.
he was a gatekeeper,
Mhm.
and he also held the axe and whatever.
Mhm.
And she shared with me that, the black kids, and especially the black boys, were told whenever they were having a test that actually they could leave the room because he would just give them a 50, they wouldn't even have to take the test. And I guess some of them didn't realize what was happening, and they would leave the room, instead of
Wow.
taking the test. And what would happen is at the end of the day, he would fail them, but he
Mhm.
allowed them to march, but they did not get a diploma, okay? They
Mm.
did not get a high school diploma.
So sad.
That's sad.
Mhm.
Yes. And Flea told me that, what he would do is that in this class, he would call upon black boys to stand up in front of the class and act as though they were senators or congressmen. And they
Hmm.
had to, like, present, I guess, programs that need to be passed, or I don't know what they had to
Mhm.
do. But
Mhm.
whatever it was, they weren't really able to do, exactly what he wanted them to do, so they always
Mhm.
failed, and he failed a lot of them. And a lot of them dropped out, I think, because of this is
That
what.
class. Do you know if that teacher was also having other students get up and do this mock kind of, activity?
It wasn't quite the same from what I understand for the white kids.
Mm.
Every now
Mm.
and then, I guess he would call upon a white kid, but they would have a different assignment when they stood, okay? Wasn't
Mm.
quite the same, okay?
Can I share a story
Yeah,
that's not exactly about this school environment, but
yeah.
it's a story that Dad told me about when he was in the military and they were taking an advancement test. Do you remember
Uh,
this story from
yes,
Dad?
yes,
And who was also super smart, right? Like,
yes.
super, super smart. So he was looking around at the instructor, the
Uh,
Army instructor,
Uh-huh.
And he was walking around the class and he was marking, putting a slash, and dad saw it on all the white, what do you call soldiers' papers.
Uh-huh.
And so what did he do? He put one on his.
Yeah.
He put one on his. 'Cause he didn't know why. He just knew this is what he was doing to mark the white soldiers. And so he was going to put his little hash down there too.
Right.
And come to find out, the black soldiers didn't pass the test,
Mhm.
but the
Mhm.
white soldiers did,
They
and
did.
he did.
And he did.
And he did, because he's sharp. He's an observer, was an
Right.
observer. He's been gone now for a long time, but anyway, that just reminded me of this classroom environment of the potential for, and he was also in the military not long
Right.
after integration, right? So,
Uh-huh.
that's an interesting concept of this integration question and how the students are going to be treated, but also their own experience, what they bring to the learning environment, what they bring to their own experience,
Right.
and how it can impact them. So,
And
yeah,
and
that's very
also,
sad,
um, and also a lot of the black boys dropped out because of this. They did not finish high school,
which
okay?
is so sad.
Which is
Did
so
Uncle Flea graduate?
he did. Yeah, he did graduate, but my other brother did not.
Uncle No. Who was, okay, let me just say, the
Okay.
smartest of the entire bunch.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I remember Granny, your mother, saying
Uh-huh.
that he was her smartest child.
Uh-huh, and he was. He was.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
mean, he had a mind like he was the griot. What do you call the people who can give all the history?
Recall all the history. He
Recall
grill.
all the
Yeah.
history.
Yeah,
He was
he
it.
was
He was it.
he would
Yeah.
call all of it. He would knew all of the stuff, and he has
Right.
so many, like, skills, like, he could tell you so many things as an adult, like, "This is how you do this is how you do that." He was just knowledgeable. It's a very
Right.
interesting person.
Yeah.
So I'm so sad to hear that while he was in high school, and I don't know what happened to him, you can go ahead and tell the story, but that he wasn't able to. I knew he didn't have a high school diploma per se.
Right. Right.
So what happened to him as far as you know?
I'm not exactly sure what happened
Mhm.
to him, but one of the things that happened was that he was the kind of person that didn't take too much off of anybody,
Yeah,
okay?
very stubborn.
Very stubborn.
Yeah,
And
proud.
and he did tell me one time that I don't know if it was the teacher or the principal or somebody wanted to beat him
Mm,
because of some incident that he said he didn't do, and he should not have been getting it for him. So I don't know if he was expelled for that. I don't know exactly what happened. I just know that he did not finish, and it was far along. It might have even been in the spring of his senior year.
mm.
Okay,
You
and
were
he
in college or even maybe out of college by then. How much older were you from him?
oh gosh, let's see,
He was born in what year? 53, 52?
55 seemed like.
Nope, that's Uncle Flea.
Was that Uncle Flea?
Uh-huh, I'm
Oh,
pretty
yeah, because
sure.
he's 10 years. So, yeah, yeah,
He
50
was
or
maybe
53,
7 or 8 years
something
younger
like
than
that.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
So you were probably out of college by then. By
Right,
the time
I
you were
was.
in Massachusetts. Okay.
Yeah,
So he
yeah.
had this experience, and we still don't really know what it is, and he passed away, so we can't ask him. Can't ask
Right,
him.
right.
So that's really too
I
bad.
should have started this before he passed so I could have
I
asked him. Yeah.
know, I know.
And that's
But
one
anyway,
reason why people really need to talk to people,
yes, and get their
uh,
stories and
to
have
get
them
their
written
story.
down because you
Yeah,
just don't know what the stories are.
you don't
But I
know.
think this is really fascinating about this idea that, the students experience. Like if you talk to someone who was not a black student at the time and
Uh-huh.
you ask them what their personal experience was like in school, it may not sound anything like this,
Right,
right?
right.
And they were in the same building, that children can have different experiences altogether. So, yeah, that's really interesting. What about the teachers? Like, did you have a sense of you were gone, I know, but when you would go back home or in subsequent years, after you had, become an adult yourself and conversations with people who were teaching when this transition happened, what did you hear about their experiences?
Well, I had heard that they were mistreated, first of all, okay?
Okay. So you heard that.
I had heard that from the very beginning as
Uh-huh.
it was
Yeah.
happening, that they were mistreated, and I talked to my cousin Jerry, and he was telling me that our principal, who had been principal at Bethlehem, okay, when I was at Bethlehem
Right.
as a first grader or whatever, and he had been there for years and years. I don't remember anybody else talking about any other principal being there, it's
Right.
been a long
Long
time,
term. Mm-hmm.
long term.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, when the first year that they integrated, they made him a vice principal of the junior high school.
Okay.
And I think after that year, they demoted him to a math teacher.
Mm,
Okay.
mhm.
So then he was a math teacher. And I think there were a couple of other teachers that they held on as teachers, but the others, they were demoted to paraprofessionals, helping teachers out or something like
Right, like a TA or teacher's assistant or something
yeah,
like that,
assistants or something like
which I'm sure their pay also decreased.
oh, I'm sure. And it already wasn't
Mhm.
what the white teachers were making, I'm sure,
Mm,
you know?
right, right, like, when the schools
It
were segregated, were they
right,
being paid the same thing then,
right,
right?
right.
Were they being paid by the state? I mean, I don't know, this is a very interesting thing. I wonder if the teachers were paid and employed by the state, do you know at that time?
I don't know, but I think the, principal or the superintendent decided what they were gonna make, you know? And I remember, the superintendent I guess it was the superintendent who would come around to each classroom when we were still segregated, right?
Uh-huh,
He would come around to the classrooms at the end of the month or the beginning of the month, I don't remember when they would get their paycheck. But he would knock on the door and he would hand the teacher the check right there in front of the students, their paycheck, you
that's
know?
interesting,
Yeah.
yeah. So, you still have a teacher who is alive. You have a teacher who's still living. I wonder if you could ask
Yeah.
her who paid for their salaries. I wonder if you can find that out.
I know, I think I'm gonna try
Yeah,
to
you
find
should
out
ask her. Yeah.
and see if
Anything else about how the teachers were? It sounds like, they honestly were demoted quite often or not kept on. I'm kind of adding that myself. I don't know if
yeah,
that's
yeah.
totally the fact, but
But the ones who, like the 2 or 3 who remained teachers, they were, policed by other white teachers
mm,
who would come into their room regularly. I mean, I don't know how they handle their own classrooms and were able to do all of this, you know?
right, right.
But they would come into their classrooms and they would do evaluations.
A
Yeah,
peer.
just a peer.
Yeah.
They had a sheet with an evaluation sheet that they would check off on various things, you know?
Mm,
And I saw the sheet and I said, I mean, this is a sheet that they could use with any teacher, but for another teacher to use it on another teacher,
right. It's kind of inappropriate.
inappropriate, very inappropriate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very inappropriate.
very
And you have
inappropriate.
to ask, was this done to everybody or was it just done to the black teachers or did the white teachers have peer reviews, quote, you know?
Oh,
And what was the power of the review? Like, and I don't know if you know the answer to that. Did
yeah,
anyone
I
get a
don't
review that made them, have to be removed or anything like that? It just seems like it was potentially fraught with a lot of issues.
right, right.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it was, when I look back on it, it was just a terrible time, a terrible
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And I know now that schools are in turbulent schools are in trouble,
Yeah.
in
They
trouble,
have been for a long time.
a long time.
Yeah.
And I do think that one of the, reasons is because of the disparity in white teachers and black teachers. You have 79 to 80% of all the teachers in America are white,
Yeah.
okay?
You
And they
see?
don't understand black kids. They don't well, I won't say some of them,
Some.
some,
Yeah, I think we have to say some
Yeah, you have to say
because it
some
won't
because
be all.
I've seen some very good caring white teachers. I've taught with
Yes,
some. Yeah.
absolutely.
Were
Mhm.
very good and who would, go
Yeah,
the
go the extra
extra mile.
mile for their
Yes, and
students.
the
Yep.
kids love them because they love
Yes.
them,
Yeah,
okay?
because they love them.
They
So
love them.
I think this is the crux of the issue, right?
Uh-huh,
You had a Jim Crow environment
uh-huh,
that the powers that be, well-meaning, right, in Washington and around, wanted to undo the separate but equal.
uh-huh,
That had not technically gone well for Black students because they didn't have the same access to resources.
right.
But let's just be clear.
And we
Had
had to take the same essay we had to take the same test every year
Yes, I'm
that
sure you
everybody else
did.
had to take, uh-huh,
But the point that I wanted to get to is that they didn't have the same access to resources, right? While being expected to do these things like standardized tests. But what they did have was access to people who saw them as children, as people, weren't afraid of them, didn't think there was something inherently wrong with them,
right,
and potentially could love them, right?
right, right. And
Not that they all did.
had abilities to learn.
And that they were that you could learn them something.
You could learn them something.
Yes. That children were able to learn, right? Even quote, even though they were Black. And
Yeah,
so having that peace, having this kind of shelter, right? So they were sheltered from white supremacy
uh-huh, uh-huh.
during their learning environment,
Right, right.
and integration took that away.
Took it away.
It took them it brought them face to face with daily exposure
Uh-huh.
to racism, can we call it?
Right. Yes, absolutely.
So we can call it. And what does that do to a child when they don't have that respite,
Yeah.
that they may have had before?
Yeah.
I really, this begs the question of, how do we undo some of the things that have harmed us?
Uh-huh.
And it also makes me reflect on my experience as, at an HBCU. Your experience at an HBCU is very different than mine. That's a historically Black college or university, because you had already had nothing but historically Black
Right.
experiences. Like,
Right.
you went to Black schools, right? Whereas, like, my education, I was born and raised in Massachusetts, where I was often, one of a few Black students in the class.
Uh-huh.
And then when I went to a Black college, it was really something. Like, it was very different, right, for me.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And it was like respite.
Mm. Wow.
You don't even realize the difference until you experience it. And this is something I tell folks, and I know this is kind of off topic, but I share with them, when you're, at a Black school for college and you don't make the debate team,
Uh-huh.
there's a really good chance it's because you are terrible at debating
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and you need to practice.
Right, right.
And so it gets stripped down to your actual ability, your
Right,
actual capacity.
right.
And you're not left wondering, is it because, this is an all white organization and I might be the only Black, or they're just a handful, or this isn't a space that I feel welcome into. And and I wonder what that does. There's a reason why the majority of Black professionals in this country have gone to HBCUs. It's like
Right.
an overwhelming number of judges, lawyers, doctors,
Uh-huh,
etc.
uh-huh. Absolutely.
And I think there's a reason for that. Um,
And I remember one teacher telling you that she was asking what people wanted to do
yes,
as a profession or
yes. This
pursue.
was my anatomy and physiology class, and I think I was a 10th grader.
Uh-huh.
I think I was in 10th grade, maybe 11th. We were all standing around. I remember we were standing around the table, and it must have been like at the end of class or the beginning. Like, it was at a transition time. Like, we weren't in our seats. And she asked people, what do they want to do when they grew up? And I said, I wanted to be a doctor. And
Uh-huh.
she laughed at me,
Uh-huh.
and I'll never forget it.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember if I said anything at all. I actually don't remember how I responded in the moment, but it's one of those core memories that never leaves you.
Uh-huh.
But she laughed when I said I wanted to be a doctor. Now, there was nothing about my grade history that suggested I could not go to medical school. I had always been an excellent student, right?
Right, right.
So for her to laugh,
Mhm.
there's more to it than just my actual capacity,
Right, right.
right?
And it seems like to me there was a male teacher at one time who said something to you about you wouldn't be able to be a doctor.
Now, this is one of those special moments, Mom, where you remember way more than I do. I do not, I don't remember that. It
Because you
doesn't
came
mean it
home and you
didn't.
told me, you said, and I don't remember who it was, but it was a male teacher. I don't remember his name, but he said that, I don't know, I think he was kind of asking the question as well.
Yeah.
And you said you wanted to be a doctor, and he said, "Oh, you'll never be a doctor," or something like that. Mhm. And I think he didn't know that that's the fire that you needed to
Yes.
spur you
Not that
on.
I needed it, but it served
Yeah,
as fire.
yeah.
Served as fire. Like, I didn't
Right,
need the fire,
right,
but it served as.
right,
Yeah,
right.
I don't remember that. But I think about what kids go through, when they may not have environments that are welcoming to their ethnicity or their religion or their
Uh,
skin color or maybe English isn't their first language. I mean, I think about all the ways that
or their
children,
gender.
or their gender. Oh my
Yeah.
God, their gender, right? That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
Um where they are not affirmed in their humanity, right?
Right.
Whatever their humanity is,
Uh-huh.
and how it could really derail them. I have the good fortune of having two parents who believed in me. I never had any doubt that I was capable. I was very fortunate, but everybody doesn't have that, especially now that we're about 3 generations into integrated environments where people may not be fortunate enough to be in environments where they're seen, where they are
Uh-huh.
supported, where they are uplifted.
Yeah.
And
And
I
cared
don't know,
for,
and
loved.
cared for. Yes, that's the word, cared for.
Yes, yes.
So the students had a hard way to go. The teachers also had a hard way to go with integration, at least in your town.
Right. There were a few
Um,
bright spots.
okay, I think it's important that we talk about those.
Yeah, and I guess the bright spots were that we all had new books,
That's true.
right?
Yeah, that's true. In one of the previous episodes, we talked about the fact that the books were always hand-me-downs in your school, right? So you all never had new books.
Every now and then we got a new book. We Every now
Okay.
and then we got new books, but most
Yeah.
times they were hand-me-downs, and you had
Okay.
I remember, oh gosh, the congressman from South Carolina, he was saying they spent the first 2 weeks, like, erasing and cleaning up the books so that they could use
Clyburn?
year. I think it was Clyburn.
Okay, someone from South Carolina,
Somebody, yeah.
yeah, who also grew up in Jim Crow. This is,
Right,
right,
right.
mhm. Yeah, so you got new books, and what
And
else
we were
was a
all
bright
exposed to
spot?
the same curriculum.
Right? So
No.
you theoretic you so I'm just gonna carefully try to say this. You were theoretically exposed to the same curriculum.
Right, 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 yeah,
Mhm.
theoretically.
Yeah, in theory. But here's the question I have to ask you as a former teacher. You can have brand new books. You can have you can have 10 different math offerings.
Uh-huh.
But does that make a good educational environment?
It does not. It does not. I mean, I would say that it's maybe half half of what you need.
Half of what you need
Yeah. I would say
as a
the other half has to come from the teacher,
the heart.
the heart. It
Mhm.
has to. Yes.
I would agree with you as a person who's done a lot of schooling, that the teacher, at some point, you grow to the point where you don't need the nurturing from the teacher.
Right.
By the time you're in like graduate school and that kind of thing, you can just take the class and do well, right? But when you're in those formative years, it does matter. It
It
does
does matter.
matter.
It does. It
It
does.
really does.
It's very hard to teach someone that you're afraid of,
So true.
okay?
Or
Or
that you don't think is fully
that you don't think is fully human.
human or not
Oh,
quite as good a human
yeah. Yeah.
or some
Yeah.
other qualifier to their humanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's really hard. And it's so unfortunate that this is the story of our country.
Yes, it is. It is.
Um, and how, okay, this is how we're going to tie it all together and how we've overcome despite it all.
How we've overcome. When I look
Isn't it?
back.
Yes. And I look and I say, there's a bow on this. The
Uh-huh.
bow is that despite all of the trouble and struggle that we've had, did everybody make it to the full capacity that they could? No.
No.
Unequivocally, the answer is no. I look at my uncle, your younger brother who's now passed away. He should have been an engineer or something.
Yes.
He was
Yes.
brilliant
Uh-huh.
and never finished high school. Did get his GED, I think.
Yeah.
But he had so much more in him than
Uh,
that. And
right.
so we have lost and this is the trouble with racism. And Dr. Cameron Jones is an epidemiologist and family medicine doc who studies racism and health inequity. And
Uh-huh.
she talks about the trouble with racism. The trouble with racism, and I'm paraphrasing kind of her idea, but it's not the judgment quality against an individual to say he's racist, she's racist, or this person's suffering from racism. It's the effect on the society as a whole.
Uh-huh.
It's the effect that you have robbed a society of its true potential.
There
That
you
is
go.
that is actually the crime of racism.
Uh-huh. I think the president of Japan said that one time, and we didn't
And
America
you don't
didn't
understand
understand
it.
what he was saying. Yeah, he said, "Because
Yes.
you're not educating your whole
Because you're
population."
not educating your whole population. You are robbing your entire society from
Uh-huh.
the potential benefits of having everyone be educated and what they could contribute.
Right.
And
Right.
this is the story that we're left with. This is the legacy that we're left with. And then the question is how do we shift and take those experiences and turn them into our good? I think knowing them
It's the first step.
is the first step, knowing what our true story is. And
Mhm.
then, you know, learning from those experiences so that we can ensure that all children, because this is really the heart of it, to ensure that all children get what they need,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
that they have every opportunity, even
Mhm.
if, they are disabled or
Mhm.
if they are gender diverse or
Uh-huh.
they are a different ethnicity, if they speak a different language at home, if the girls are wearing hijab, right? If no matter who they are, no
Right.
matter what their humanity is dressed as, right? However they come to us in the world, They should have the same opportunity, and we should be
Absolutely.
encouraging and nurturing all of them the same way.
Yes.
This is
Absolutely.
actually this is the problem with what we just talked about for this episode.
Right,
And
right.
what our charge is to me, what our charge is for our
Uh,
children right now is that, this is not a we don't see color, right?
right,
That's a problem in that you don't see that a person is experiencing the world differently than you. It's important that we see that.
right.
But we have to, despite the fact that they may experience the world differently, they should have the same
Uh,
really outcomes, right?
right.
We should have the same number of people as they are in the population doing everything.
And
That's really reflective of good opportunity.
I think that's what Martin Luther King was aiming at,
I do too.
and he thought
I know.
this was
I don't
a
think he meant
road to it.
any ill for
Yeah,
what
none at
he was
all.
trying to do. He was right in trying to fight for equal rights.
Right,
But I
right.
wonder if we could talk to him now. We
Yeah,
say,
how he would see.
how would you change your strategy?
Uh-huh,
Right?
yeah,
Would your strategy be different now? Would you say it's not enough for us to be in the same schools?
right, right.
Right?
Mhm.
What we really need is a pairing of the heart. We need a heart equality.
Yes, there we go. There we go. Okay. Hey.
Well, okay, I think we're so our audience gets to listen to us try to solve the problems of the world,
In the world, I
which is
know,
what we do all the time
all the
anyway.
time.
This is really routinely how we talk.
Yeah,
So
I know.
I'm glad we're able to get it down and record it.
Yes, me too.
Anything else about this educational journey for the town of Bethlehem that you wanted to share with the world?
I can't think of anything else at the moment, and I don't know where they are now with
Yeah.
what's going on there now because
Hmm.
I moved from there and
Yeah.
have not talked to anyone with children or anything lately, so
Hmm.
I don't really know, but I pray that things have gotten better and that
Yeah, of course.
people are a little more accepting, and especially since our town is dying out. You
Right.
you would think that there would come a time when, they would look at each other and say, "Okay, we're the only ones left here, so maybe we need to make this thing a little bit better."
Yeah.
Almost like the, undertaker, There's a white undertaker, and he takes care of everybody now. There was a time when that didn't happen, so
There was a black undertaker and a white undertaker.
well,
Is that
the black undertaker lived in Texarkana, but they were the ones that we used because they were the ones who took care of us, okay?
okay, I
This
see.
is a recent development,
Oh, I see. I see. Did you have any children who were Spanish speaking? Did you have any Latino families?
There were some, Spanish kids every now and then, like, transient, like during,
Migrant workers,
migrant workers. They come
children.
in every
Yeah.
now and then, and
Hmm.
believe it or not, they went to the white schools.
I do believe that.
Yes, uh-huh.
Yeah, I wonder how they were treated there.
I don't think they were treated well.
Mm, that'd be a story for them. I
Yes,
would
of
love to
course.
talk to seniors who are
Right,
Latino who had those experiences to see.
right. Mhm.
Okay, Ma, I think we have
Alright.
done it for this time.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.
Until
We'll
next
see you all
time.
next time.
Bye-bye.